Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, as Freud said, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's some real sick psycho shit that you really need to work out. Have you ever had anybody try and psychoanalyze you and you're just like, hey, I am the way I am, leave me the fuck alone. It doesn't always have to be something. Well, I've had that happen a million times. I don't know, what does that say about me? But we're going to talk about that on today's Madge Unmuted. Hey everybody, I'm your hostess, Madge Madigan. Welcome to another episode of Madge Unmuted. I always have people want to psychoanalyze me. Do you? Okay, I don't know, maybe what does that say about me? But no, sometimes people want to get into big debate about why you act the way you do. I've had that a lot in my lifetime because I've always been very, as they used to call it, a ham. I've always been a showy kid, whatever. And the reason I bring this up, because I had a thought this week, made me think. I was listening to Radio Andy on Bravo, and it was the Jeff Lewis show, which I'm not crazy about, but whatever. They had a guest on, and I meant to look it up. His name is Nicky something, I guess. But I guess he was a comedian or something, but they also had a psychotherapist on, a therapist. And Jeff didn't really care for him. He just thought that the guy was on all the time. And somebody else on this show was like, you're always, no, maybe it was a different guy. I don't know. They all kind of sound the same. But anyway, they were saying that he's always forgetful. He loses things. He loses his sunglasses every week. He misses flights. He's late. He's flighty. Blah, blah, blah. And so they started getting into this, like, why does he do this? And they would ask him a question, and he would get a little bit of sidetracked, and he would be like, make a joke, and they're like, oh, are you afraid to be vulnerable with people? And he's like, no. And they're like, well, do you think you have to be on all the time? He's like, well, no, that's just like, this is just what I do. He's like, well, maybe. He's like, but I'm not afraid to. And they were going back and forth, and it got me to thinking about me. And I'm guessing there was a period in my life that it was, there was a little bit of, hey, look at me. I need to be, I need attention. Yeah, I'm the youngest of 6 kids. It was hard to get a word in edgewise or attention from anybody, and so I was always trying to get some attention. However, I was thinking about it, and there's a part of me that I don't think it's just to get attention. It's just the way I am. I know, like, at this point in my life, I don't really need attention. To do this, I just like to talk and be funny, and that's always been a part of my life. Let me expound on that. So that part of my life, I have been entertaining since I could walk and talk. Like, my siblings will tell stories. My sister Kathy loves to tell a story that from the age of 2, I was performing. They would have, so my oldest sister is 16 years older than me. And then the next one, I think she's 13 years older than me. And then my brother's 11, and then blah, blah, blah. So those older kids were in high school when I was, born. And when they had friends over, oh, it was showtime for little Peggy, as I was called back then. My name is Margaret, and they called me Peg. And so much so that they gave me a nickname. I don't know, maybe I named myself. I don't know. I think they gave it to me, Peggy Starlight, because I would put on, I had these little yellow plastic glasses. Oh, go figure, I'm wearing yellow today. Oh, subconscious, how fitting. And I had these little yellow plastic sunglasses, if I find the picture of me. And then I had floppy hat and a poncho, and I thought I was a movie star. And so this shit started when I was 2. And my sister remembers me coming in with these like toga type pajamas, and I'm performing to this song Roman Holiday that I guess was a movie that Audrey Hepburn was in. I'm gonna fact check that. But anyway, she's like, "Oh, you came in bounding off," and I'm like, "I don't remember that," but apparently, I felt like performing. And as long as I can remember, I was always making up songs, dances, plays, comedy skits, whatever. I was just constantly performing. I wanted to perform for people, and I wanted to go to college for theater. I started in kids theater for Jesus, I don't know, as long as I can remember. I mean, I started taking dance when I was 4. Um, I just been taking all these performing things forever. So I started doing kids theater, I think at like 7, 8, and then I was doing all, summer theater, all this, and then school performances, plays, whatever. I was in a play. I was a star in a play in 5th grade. Um, and anyway, I started doing musicals and plays and everything in high school. I wanted to go to college for theater. And I know I've told this story a million years, and it's affected me. I'm going to be 61 next week, and it's still, I think I've gotten over it, but still it stuck with me. My dad said, "I'm not paying for you to go to college to become a waitress." That was 1982. So, and I get it. I get his sentiment. He was trying to protect me and, wanted me to get something worthwhile, something I could make money, use, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I get it. Like my son was thinking about going to school for theater. And I was like, oh, let's, do something. I did it a much more diplomatic way. Maybe what's something else you'd like to do that, you can still try theater, blah, 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 blah. But the reason I asked, or the reason I said it to my son, I'm getting off track, is because he was going to NYU, and these kids, there's Tisch School at NYU, which is like world famous for their theater and performing arts. And these kids have been in specialized training and classes since they could walk and talk. So they were, dance lessons, um, vocal lessons, blah, blah, blah. My son had been in a lot of plays and chorus and whatnot. Anyway, so he's doing quite well now after majoring in economics. Anyway, I digress. Um, but my dad wasn't so diplomatic with me. But he did give me an alternative. Hey, why don't you go to college for broadcasting? Which his brother, who was 10 years older than him, had been the vice president of news and special events at ABC until he died in 1975. So didn't do me, I wish he'd been around later, but God bless. What are you gonna do? So anyway, but at least my dad said that, and my uncle, he started out in radio in the 30s, so he had been in the business forever. And I had always loved, that was my other love, was music and radio, and I did kind of think about being a DJ and whatnot. Anyway, I digress. I went to that, and that's what this is born out of, is that I love to talk. I got a lot of jokes. I love when I have people on. I'm going to get back to having some guests soon. It's just been a hard time of year to arrange things, but I've always loved talking, interviewing, laughing. Most importantly, laughing. I love to laugh. It's like my all-time favorite thing to do. But the other thing is, I realized when this person was like, "Oh, you just want to be," the person on the Jeff Lewis show was saying to this other person, "Oh, you just want to be on or want people to like you." Oh, that was the thing. You want people to like you. I mean, well, maybe back yeah, who doesn't want people to like them? Whatever. If you make people laugh, they like you. But also, I've always like made people to laugh to like make me laugh back. Call me crazy. But the thing I was going to say is that is like natural. I literally think in jokes. I literally think in my head, and I can't help it. And it's not, hey, I'm going to come up with this one liner, because I suppress it a lot. It's just the way my brain is. I mean, is there anybody else out there that is just either naturally funny, or you're a writer, you're a comedy writer, you're a comedian, whatever, and you just think in jokes? I always just think in jokes. And, it could be as simple as, that's what she said, every other sentence, or that's what he said. Or I come up with a lot of pop culture. That's my other thing, that, if someone will mention, oh, I want to get some spaghetti with meatballs, and I'll go, that's a spicy meatball. I don't know if anybody remembers that. That was an old, I think maybe Alka-Seltzer commercial. So that's how I think. And when I was listening to this woman try and psychoanalyze this guy, and he just kept saying, no, no, no. And my first thought about listening to this guy was, oh yeah, that must be it. They're going to touch on something that he's going to cop to, like, oh yes, my parents never paid attention to me, and this is the way this is the way I got attention, or people bullied me in high school, and this is the way I got out of it. I got them to like me. I made them laugh, and then they stopped bullying me. There's all those things are common. We've all heard it. We've either listened to talk shows where they psychoanalyze people, or movies, or whatever bullshit. Read a book, biography, and I'm like, I will totally fall in line for therapy. The more I can figure out about myself, the better. Like I said in my um, episode last week about, when somebody hurts you, when they cheat on you. And part of healing is figuring out why it hurts. And that's self-examination. That's, trying to go down deep and figure out what's bothering you. I'm all for introspection. I try and better myself all the time. And I tried to figure out this need for whatever, like people, when I wear my fun outfits or whatever, people are, do I do it for, no, it's like an art form to me. I like putting together colors. And look, I don't know if you can see it today, I'm all color coordinated. I got a white belt, I got a little denim mini skirt, I got my yellow shirt, and look at how cute these shoes are. Like J. Crew, aren't they the cutest? Like, I just love putting together color. I can't draw worth shit. I can't paint. I can't do any other art. But putting together an outfit with colors and textures and patterns, that's art. And I'm a walking art piece. I'm a piece of something, all right, right? Piece of work. See, there I go. That's just an example. Oh, that could have gone poorly too, with the I'm a piece of something. I didn't mean that. Piece of shit, piece of ass, piece of work, piece of art. You name it, fill in the blanks. Hopefully not the piece of ass part. But yeah, I thought about, why is there some ulterior motive why I want to do this? And nope, nope. And this woman and Jeff Lewis on this show, I'm going back to this show, Jeff was kind of trying to strong arm him into, you must, you must act this way for a reason, or there's some bad reason why you do it, some inferiority thing, I guess was the word I was getting at. And she was trying to, dig there too. And he was just like, no, no. Now, I don't know the guy. Was he really telling the truth? Was there no reason? And that, nope, just the way he was. And I kind of thought, like, no, I think that's just the way he was. Some of the other things he said, maybe he was a little bit, I don't know, whatever. I shouldn't judge. I need to stop that part, because that's what I'm complaining about, is how people want to psychoanalyze you when you're, you know, whatever. Granted, there are some people that are, they perform for a reason. They have to be the center of attention. Now, that's the thing. I don't need to be the center of attention. I don't know if I did at one point. I don't think I ever wanted, probably like when I was 2. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. When I was 2, 3, 4, 5, because I was so lost in the shuffle. This was my way of getting attention. Yeah. I was a little kid. Um, as I got older, I don't think so, but it's just my natural. I like to laugh. I love to laugh. Love. And the way I start with making myself laugh. And the way I have a goofy sense of humor. I have several. I can have a campy, kitschy, silly humor, but then I can also have heavy sarcastic, heavy raunchy, heavy blue, heavy what's you call, you know, the like the anger humor, like, yeah, what do you know, go fuck yourself. You know, I mean, I don't, you know, the Don Rickles type of giving other people. I have these various forms, but when I'm doing something, is usually to make myself laugh or to see if anybody else will bite to interact with me to make me laugh. Again, as I said, yeah, I've known several people that um I don't know if I should say this. One of the I'll put it this way. One of my kids had a friend. I'll put this diplomatically. One of the kids had a friend, and they brought this friend home. This is when they were a little older, college age, and so. And this friend was, I think, they were an only child. They were a theater kid, like the quintessential theater kid. And when they came to my house, it was all about me. It was like super loud, super, like, wouldn't let anybody else talk. Wouldn't let anybody else talk. Wouldn't let anyone else shine, wouldn't let anyone else make a joke. They had to be, you know, the funniest person. It was just very apparent. But also, it was always all about themselves, in that they would always go and just go and get the last piece of pie or the last glass of wine in a bottle, without asking anybody else, or not caring. And even if they would have had, like, you know, 5 slices of pie, and the other 5 people in the house, maybe somebody had one, they didn't care. So I think this person was a narcissist, or they were just so used to being an only child that they didn't care. It was all about them. They didn't learn how to coexist with other people. I'll give the benefit of the doubt. But the reason I say it is because that person had a broad spectrum of behaviors, that it wasn't just about performing. It was everything in their life was about them. So that, yeah, I think there were some broader issues, you know, whether it was some textbook thing or not, I don't know. Whether they were just used to being an only child, who knows. But that's it's not for me to decide, unless I were to become a therapist. Then it's for me to decide. You know, I did want to go, when I went back to college later as an adult, I wanted to be a psychologist, and I changed my major to that, and I started studying for that. But then when I got to some parts of this one therapy or psychology class, I don't know, I took several psychology classes in college, and I loved it. And but there was a part that was kind of like almost like a clinical, but not like a clinical. And you had to talk amongst yourselves in this group chat, and it was almost like pretending to be a therapist. I don't know. Anyway, that's the thing that turned me off. Cause, oh, but also I'd been in heavy therapy for years. Starting from, because also I have anxiety super bad, and I had it my whole life, but I never knew what it was um until I was married. And I was losing my shit because he was cheating on me. But I kind of thank God, because then I figured out stuff like when I was little, I used to get absolutely hysterical during a thunderstorm, and even up until I got older, is because I had this really irrational fear. But anyway, so I've done a lot of therapy. Anyway, so I thought I would be good at it. So I'm at this one part of the class, as I said. You kind of have to, it's almost like a trial clinical, and you have to talk to other people and kind of, I think it was like you had to figure out what the, I think each of us were given like a disorder or whatever. I'm sorry, I can't think of the word at the moment, like anxiety, depression, whatever. We had to like kind of ask questions, and you learn how to get to the root of something. I realized I cannot fucking deal with other people. Isn't that terrible? Further proof that I don't need to be the center of attention. I still want to deal with people. It was about like you had to you had to ask questions, and people would also, I think they were given a thing that said refuses to open up, overshares, whatever. It was a whole, like, they were given a little profile. And then you had to kind of talk them through it, and they were either like, they were people that were like resistant to talk about, or resistant to be wrong, or blah 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 blah. And I got somebody that was like didn't want to get better, didn't want to know what was wrong, didn't want to take any steps to do anything, and that drove me fucking insane. I'm like, I can't do this. Nope. Can't do it. I don't want to deal with people that don't want to make themselves better. They don't want to listen. Can't do it. That's when I realized that I couldn't be a therapist. But it's been good because it helped me figure out my own shit, and it helped me talk to my kids when they were having, issues, problems, down, whatever. It helped me to learn to speak to them in a more explorative way, in more of a way of discovery about what was going, rather than, well, you should just do this, my father loved to do. My mother was a little more like, well, honey, but then I think sometimes they were also like, no, just get off your ass and do it, or whatever. Or, no, you're not going to college to become a waitress. And there you have it. Full circle. Anyway, therapy is good. But however, like Freud said, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Everything you dream, think, do, say, whatever, is not some deep-seated, rooted psychotherapy thing. Sometimes things are, you just say them because they are, and you just say them because you say them. And there you have it. Let me know down in the comments, has anybody tried to psychoanalyze you and you're like, no, this is just the way I am? Or you've said, oh yeah, that is the way I am. I got to fix that shit. Anyway, let me know. Thank you so much for joining me. If you could please like, subscribe, and share. Tell your friends. Leave me reviews. I would love that. Everything helps me. I put this on all by myself. So if I can monetize, that would be fantastic. I would love that. So it's much, much, much appreciated. Please subscribe and share. And until next week, I'll see you on the next episode of Madge Unmuted. Bye.